So picture this. The storm's been raging for, what, 3 hours now? Wind is howling. Rain is just hammering the windows and the lights. They didn't just flicker. They died hard about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, total blackout.
Total blackout. The house is pitch black. You do that thing, the reflex action we all do 100 times a day. You grab your phone.
It's just muscle memory. You want to check the radar or, see if the power company posted an update, text your partner, make sure they're okay.
Exactly. You unlock the screen, that glow hits your face, and you look up at the top corner, and that's when you see it. That little SOS icon where your bars used to be.
Or maybe worse, one single phantom bar.
Yes, the phantom bar. So you think, okay, I can get a text out. You type it, you hit send, and that little progress bar just hangs.
And then it just turns red. Not delivered.
It is the most frustrating feeling in the world. And then you try again. You hold the phone up, like Simba on Pride Rock, wandering around the room.
All while your battery is just draining twice as fast because the phone is screaming its electronic lungs out trying to find a tower that isn't answering.
We call this the hope and fail cycle. And it is absolutely panic-inducing.
It is, and it's a very specific, very common loop described in one of the sources we're looking at, the EcoFlow guide. It happens because our whole mental model of the modern world is, well, it's just wrong. We think the grid is this unshakable beast.
And we think of cell towers as these permanent monoliths. I mean, they look like giant steel trees. You just assume they're invincible.
But today's deep dive is going to shatter that illusion pretty quick. We're looking at a whole stack of research, everything from technical manuals from the ARRL, that's the American Radio Relay League, to survival guides from the Citizen Survival Plan, and even some breaking info on that controversial BitChat app from Jack Dorsey.
And the reality check, it really starts with those towers.
Yeah.
I think most people, myself included, assume that because they're critical infrastructure, they must have massive backups. Like weeks of power, right? Underground diesel tanks.
Yeah, you'd think so. I mean, it would make sense. But the data shows a much grimmer picture. Most cell towers, they run on battery backups rated for only 4 to 8 hours.
Wait, hold on. 4 to 8 hours. That's barely a workday. That's not even a full night's sleep.
That's it. And once those batteries are dead, it becomes what one technician in the notes called a crapshoot.
A crapshoot. That is not a technical term I want to hear about my emergency infrastructure.
No, it's not, but it's accurate. See, some towers might have a diesel generator on site, but then you have to ask, does that generator even have fuel? Has it been serviced in the last 6 months?
And if the roads are flooded or blocked, how's the fuel truck getting there anyway?
Exactly. So when the power grid goes down, the countdown clock on your phone isn't measured in days. It's measured in hours.
Wow.
The second the lights go out in your house, that clock is ticking on the towers. Which is why our mission today is really to shift your mindset. We want to move you from what we call passive reliability, where you just hope AT&T saves you, to active resilience.
Active resilience. I like that. It sounds proactive. It sounds like taking control.
It is. And to do that, we're going to build a communication hierarchy from the old school analog tech your grandparents used all the way up to some bleeding edge digital tools that are literally changing how revolutions happen.
Okay, let's do it. A hierarchy. Let's start at the bottom. The basement level. Low tech. High reliability.
The cockroach tier, the stuff that survives anything.
The cockroach tier, I love it. And first on that list is the landline.
The humble landline. But we have to be super specific here. We are not talking about the digital phone you get bundled with your cable internet.
Right, the VoIP stuff. Voice over IP.
Yeah.
Because if the modem's down, that phone's dead.
Totally useless. If the internet is out, it's a piece of plastic. We are talking about POTS.
POTS.
Plain old telephone service. The actual copper wire that goes from the jack in your wall out to the pole and down the street.
I feel like a lot of people have ripped those out. Why is that old copper so important in a blackout?
It's all about physics. That copper line carries its own low-voltage power. The central office for the phone company is basically a massive battery bank with huge industrial generators. They're designed to stay up when everything else fails.
So my house could be completely dark, fridge is warming up, but that copper wire is still live.
Exactly. But, and here's the catch, you can't use a modern cordless phone.
Oh. Why not?
Well, think about it. A cordless phone has that base station, right? That base plugs into a wall outlet for power.
So no power, no base station, no signal to the handset.
Precisely. It's a paperweight. You need an old school phone. The one with the curly cord that physically connects the handset to the base?
The one my grandma has in her kitchen.
The very same. You plug that in, you'll likely get a dial tone even when the whole neighborhood is silent. It pulls its power right from the phone line itself.
So step 1 of active resilience. Go to a thrift store, buy a $5 corded phone, and toss it in the emergency bin.
You got it. Don't rip out the copper.
Okay, keeping the landline? Check. What's next in the cockroach tier?
The NOAA weather radio. But again, you have to be smart about this because most people go out and buy the wrong one.
They just get the cheap one that scans all the frequencies.
Right. And the problem with those is listener fatigue. You turn it on, and it's just this robot voice reading reports for the entire state.
And it goes off for a thunderstorm 3 counties over, and you're just trying to sleep, so you turn it off.
Which defeats the whole purpose. So you need a radio with a feature called SAME, Specific Area Message Encoding.
Okay, that sounds technical. What does it actually do?
It makes the radio smart. You program in a 6-digit code just for your county. And then the radio stays completely silent. It's in standby. It won't make a sound until the National Weather Service issues an alert specifically for your code.
So it filters out all the noise.
Completely. When that thing finally screams at you, you know it's real. You know it's for you. It goes from being a nuisance to a tactical tool.
Okay, so we've got our landline, we've got our smart radio, but what if the lines are physically down or we need to be mobile? Now we're talking two-way radios.
We are. And this is where the market is just flooded with toys.
Oh, I've been burned by this.
Yeah.
You see those bubble packs at the store? 2 neon radios, and the box says, in giant letters, 30-mile range.
The 30-mile lie. It's my favorite marketing gimmick.
Is it just a complete fabrication?
Well, it's technically true. If you are on Mount Everest and your friend is on K2, with nothing but thin air between you.
But in the real world, with trees and houses.
You're lucky to get half a mile. Maybe a mile downhill. Those are FRS, Family Radio Service radios. They're capped at 2 watts, and this is key. They have fixed antennas. You can't upgrade them.
So they're fine for the kids in the backyard, but you aren't trusting your life to them.
Exactly. Which brings us to the upgrade, the adult version, GMRS.
General Mobile Radio Service. The guide calls it the prepper's choice. But I always hesitate here because radio license just sounds like I have to study for a test.
And that is the big misconception. Yes, GMRS needs an FCC license, but, and this is the key detail, there is no test.
Wait, really? No test at all?
No test. You go to the SEC website, you pay about $35, you fill out the form. That license covers you and your immediate family for 10 years.
That seems like a massive loophole.
I mean,
what does that $35 unlock?
power and range. FRS is stuck at 2 watts. GMRS handhelds can go up to 5 watts. A base station for your car or house can run 50 watts.
50. That's a huge jump.
It is, but the real game changer is repeaters.
Okay, explain repeaters.
Think of a repeater as a giant megaphone on top of the highest hill in your area. Your little 5-watt handheld transmits to that megaphone, and the megaphone instantly blasts your signal out over a massive area.
So it's radio to tower to radio.
Exactly. And with a repeater, that half-mile range suddenly becomes 15, maybe 20 miles. You can talk clear across the city.
And all of that for $35 and no exam.
For 90% of families, GMRS is the answer. It is the sweet spot.
Okay, but for that top 10%, the people who want to be the backbone of the recovery effort, there's one more level up, the gold standard.
Ham radio, amateur radio.
And this is where it gets serious, right? This is where the test comes in.
It is. This is a different animal. It does require an exam technician, general, extra. You have to study. You have to know the rules.
So why do it? If GMRS gets me 20 miles, why do I need ham?
Because ham isn't just about the gear. It's about the community and the infrastructure. Ham operators are organized into groups like ARES and RACES.
ARES, that's the Amateur Radio Emergency Service.
Right. And these aren't just hobbyists. These groups are integrated into government emergency management. When the cell towers fail, when the police radios get overloaded, ARES operators deploy to hospitals, to Red Cross shelters, to fire stations.
So they become the nervous system for the official response when the main system goes down.
They are the communicators of last resort. So the way I see it is, if you want to talk to your family, get GMRS. If you want to help save your community, get your ham license.
That's a great way to put it. Okay, so we've covered the hardware. But I want to pivot now. We've been talking about radio in the traditional sense, but we're living in 2026. Everyone has a supercomputer in their pocket.
And that takes us to the digital frontier. We have to talk about BitChat.
BitChat.
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey's project from July 2025. And it's pretty controversial, right?
It is. But from a resilience standpoint, the tech is fascinating. It's trying to solve the no cell tower problem using the phone you already have.
So how does my iPhone send a text if the towers are dark?
It uses Bluetooth Low Energy to create a mesh network.
A mesh. I've heard that term, but break it down. How does it work?
Okay, think of it like a bucket brigade at a fire. You want to get a bucket of water to the end of the line, but you can't throw it that far.
So you hand it to the person next to you, who hands it to the next person, and so on.
Exactly. BitChat does that with little packets of data. Your message hops from phone to phone to phone. It doesn't need a central server or a cell tower. It just needs other phones nearby running the app.
That sounds amazing in theory. But does it actually work in the real world?
Well, look at what happened in late 2025. The protests in Madagascar and Nepal.
Right. The governments there shut down the internet to stop people from organizing.
Standard authoritarian move. But BitChat just exploded there. People were using it to coordinate everything because it was completely off-grid. It bypassed the government's kill switch.
The notes also mention it uses something called NoStar.
Yeah, and this is the really clever part. Nostr is a decentralized global network. BitChat uses the Bluetooth mesh when you're totally local and offline. But if just one person in that mesh chain happens to get a tiny sliver of internet access...
The message can jump from the mesh onto the global network.
Exactly. The mesh becomes a funnel to the wider world. It's incredibly powerful, but we do have to talk about the risks.
Yeah, I saw a big red flag about security in the notes.
You have to, because it's so decentralized, verifying who's who is really hard. A security researcher found that in the beta, you could easily impersonate other users.
So if I get a message from mom, I can't be 100% sure it's actually mom.
In that early version, yeah. Dorsey himself admitted it hadn't gone through a full external security review yet, so it's a tool for resilience, not for banking secrets.
It's for I'm alive, not here's my social security number.
You got it. But there's one other feature in BitChat that I find really telling. It's called panic mode.
The triple tap thing.
Yes, you tap the app logo 3 times fast, and it instantly erases all data on the device. Messages, contacts, keys, everything. Gone.
Wow. That's not a feature for a hurricane. That's a feature for a hostile environment.
It is, and it speaks to a different kind of survival. Sometimes resilience is about communicating, and sometimes it's about making sure your information can't be found by destroying it.
That's a sobering thought. Okay, so we have the radios, we have the apps, but let's say I have my GMRS radio. Grid is down, chaos everywhere. I push the button. What do I actually say?
And this is where most people fail. They buy all the gear, but the gear is only half the solution. The other half is protocol.
The language you use.
And the ARRL manual has a golden rule for this. Listen much, transmit little.
It sounds kind of zen, but it's practical.
It's survival. In a disaster, everyone panics and tries to talk at once. The airwaves get jammed. If you're rambling on, you might be stepping on a call for an ambulance.
So brevity is safety.
Absolute brevity. That's why pros use pro words. You don't say, yeah, I got that. You say, Roger. You don't say, I'm done talking, but I'm waiting for you to reply. You say, over. When you're finished, you say, clear.
It feels a little silly, doesn't it? Alpha, Bravo, Charlie.
It feels silly in your living room, sure. It doesn't feel silly when you're trying to read a license plate over a channel full of static. B, C, D, and E all sound the same in a storm.
Yeah, that's a good point. B, C, D, E, but Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. Unmistakable. It prevents errors when errors can be fatal.
And then there's message precedence, a triage system for your words. Exactly. Top tier is emergency, immediate life or death. Second tier is priority, time-sensitive official messages, like road closures. And the bottom tier is welfare, the I am safe inquiries.
And the welfare stuff has to wait, which is so hard for people.
It goes against every instinct. But you have to wait your turn. Your how are you can't block a message about a dam breaking.
Speaking of checking on family, though, there was a fantastic tip in the EcoFlow guide about how to do that.
The out-of-state contact rule. This is one of those $0 insights that's worth everything.
The logic is that in a regional disaster, all the local phone lines are jammed.
Completely overloaded. Everyone in Miami is calling everyone else in Miami, but the long-distance lines out of the state are often still open.
So instead of trying to call my wife 5 miles away,
You call your Aunt Linda in Ohio. Your whole family designates one person way outside the disaster zone to be your central message board.
so I call Linda and say, I'm safe at the library. My wife calls Linda and says, I'm safe at work. And Linda connects the dots for us.
It completely bypasses the local congestion. It's just smart planning.
I love that. So simple. But before we wrap, we have to talk about the foundation for all of this. The radios, the apps, the protocols. None of it works without juice.
Power. They're all just expensive bricks if the battery dies.
And the sources make a really strong case against the typical gas generator for this kind of use.
Gas generators are loud, up to 85 decibel.
Which is basically a giant sign that says, hey, I have power over here. And probably food and supplies.
It's a tactical failure. You don't want to draw attention. Plus, you have fuel storage issues, carbon monoxide. For comms, you want solar.
Silent, safe, renewable. And we found this really interesting source from a YouTube channel, Ghost Strats, that reviewed this power bank, the Gouda PW22.
It's perfect for this. It's a 36,000 milliamp hour bank. That's massive. But it's also versatile. Wireless charging, built-in flashlight that lasts over 100 hours.
A 100-hour flashlight is a survival tool all by itself.
But the reviewer highlighted its use for, and I'm quoting, hacking gadgets. He was talking about things like mesh-tastic devices.
Which are similar to BitChat, right?
Yep.
Little hardware nodes that create their own text network.
Exactly. And those nodes need to stay on 24/7 to keep the network alive. This power bank can keep a communication node like that running for days on a single charge. It's not just about charging your phone once. It's a power hub for your personal infrastructure.
It's about endurance.
It's about active resilience.
So let's zoom out. We've gone from a $35 GMRS radio all the way to Bluetooth mesh networks, and even the simple discipline of saying over.
We have. And it's important to remember this isn't just for individuals in a bunker. We saw that corporate template from Tech Target. Businesses need this just as much as families.
Right. The principles are identical.
They are. That out-of-state contact is just a backup server in another region. The hierarchy of communication is just the chain of command. The logic is universal.
It all comes back to what you said at the start. Moving from passive reliability, just waiting for the bars to come back, to active resilience. Don't just hope the phone works. Have a plan for when it doesn't.
Exactly. Take responsibility for your own connection to the world.
Which brings me to one last thought. I keep coming back to that panic mode in BitChat, the triple tap to erase everything.
Yeah, that really sticks with you.
It's fascinating, right? We live in a world that is obsessed with connection. 5G, Starlink, always on social media.
Yeah.
Yet the ultimate feature in a next-gen survival tool isn't more connection. It's the ability to instantly disappear.
To wipe your digital footprint in a split second.
It makes you wonder, in the future of communication, is the most powerful tool going to be the ability to reach everyone? Or is it going to be the ability to control who can find you?
That is definitely something to chew on.
Indeed. Stay connected, stay safe.
Stay connected, stay safe.